Claire, shivering and frightened, huddled in a dark corner of the small room and began to whimper. Until they had entered the door marked "No Admittance," she had managed to keep with Rinehart's steady pace, knowing that if she should fall or attempt to hold back, he would not hesitate to carry out his threat of killing her. She was a good judge of character, and Rinehart, regardless of his desperation, was not a man to bargain with. As a shield for his escape, she had served a purpose, but now that he felt secure in his hiding place, she was at the mercy of his whims. The room in which they hid was no more than a 12-foot square storage room for the former maintenance men of the subway tunnels. Rinehart got a fire going near the opposite end of the room, and the flickering light illuminated the crowbars, torches, and gigantic hammers on the wall, and even a rake that stood on end with its points rising upward and curving towards her like a claw. The floor was covered with a couple of inches of fine dust, with particles in the air caused by their movement, which made breathing difficult. Beyond the door, a cold wind whistled down the dark tunnels, and the melting snow from above ran down the concrete walls to collect into icy puddles. Claire pulled her coat tightly around her body and kept her eyes on Rinehart. When the fire was going to his satisfaction, Rinehart crouched with his hands extended above the blaze. Claire's view of him was in profile of his aquiline nose and black-patched eye. He said nothing. He just sat there. Claire had expected him to say something, and waited for perhaps a half an hour before she ventured away from the wall and moved to the center of the room.
Do you intend to let me go?
Perhaps.
You should. What possible reason do you have for holding me?
Rinehart continued to crouch beside the fire without speaking.
I've served my purpose. I don't know what you did to earn the wrath of the subterraneans, but because of me you managed to escape. My freedom could not possibly endanger you.
She struggled to control herself, to stop the tears that were building in her eyes.
I've risked everything for the cause you propose to support.
You're a bloody little fool, then.
He turned his gaze upon her, and she stepped back, frightened by the contempt in his eyes.
All you bitches who ain't taking advantage of your victory over men are fools. Angela in particular. Her type of beauty that led to the defeat of men. Men do anything for her attention, even kill. She'd be mine soon enough if that bastard hadn't come along. She couldn't resist his handsome face and young torso.
Claire resented his speaking of Angela as he was. In her wildest dreams, she could not imagine her friend giving a man like Rinehart any chance.
But what about me? Do you intend to let me go?
Perhaps. You're an attractive little bitch, despite those clothes. Working so hard at a sexless appearance. All proper-like. Night with me could add a little color to your life.
She turned her back to him and stood staring into the shadows across the room.
Please, let me go.
Her body had stiffened, and the tears streaked her cheeks.
Then I'd be alone. You know what it's like to be totally alone? When I escaped in the underground, I was alone for months. Lived by my wits. Sneaking above ground only to steal food to survive. Knew about the subterraneans, but wanted no part of them. Never believed in their cause. But in the end, loneliness made me join. Loneliness will drive a man to the brink of madness. He will do anything for companionship.
Even keep me here against my will?
Anything.
I'd rather you killed me. Death would be preferable to this.
You'd change your tune if a knife was put to your throat. Before I let you go, you'll change your tune about a lot of things. Life never seems so precious until we're about to lose it. I know. Back there, that young bastard about to end me. Life too important than revenge. Too important than that bitch in heat.
He slapped his knees with both hands and rose.
Besides, I need a woman. Need one badly.
Claire turned and backed into the corner, flattened herself against the wall. Her hand fastened about the cold metal of a crowbar, and she tore it from the wall.
If you come near me, I'll bash your skull in.
Rinehart came to a halt in the middle of the room, his eyes narrowing, as if judging her threat. After a moment, he shrugged and moved back to the fire.
I can wait. How long till you sleep?
But Claire was no longer listening to Rinehart. From somewhere in the labyrinth of the abandoned subway tunnels came the sound of marching feet. She knew that the feminist troops had entered the underground to drive out and kill the subterraneans.